I'm Candice and I love movies. Okay, this is not 2020. We are not talking about The Invisible Man, but I can't talk about Lee Winnell without saying how much I love this film. It was a remake of a Universal Monster movie. It was so powerful. It came out at the worst time, sometime in like early spring 2020, and you can imagine why that was a bad time for it to come out. But it really took a horror film, a traditional horror film, and spun it on its head and gave it a modern twist and gave us modern audiences something to be scared about, which in this case was domestic violence. Cut to 2024. Here we are. Lee Winnell has a new movie. It's another Universal Monster movie. It is Wolfman. It doesn't have the bite we wanted to have, and you'll know that immediately because it's being released mid January. This is the dumpster time for studios to throw away the films that they want to squeak through theaters. They don't want much competition for them, hoping to make some money. And that's exactly what Wolfman is. This is a pseudo local film. It takes place in rural Oregon. This family, which stars Julia Garner, Christopher Abbott, live in a big city, but they have to return to a very remote part of Oregon where he grew up with his father, who were kind of doomsdayers, not really, but they lived off the grid. He learned to hunt, and they were always chasing something in the forest that resembled a wolf. There was urban legend by the indigenous people there that if you got attacked by this thing that you would take the face of a wolf. So it's very much establishing that there's no one escaping this movie. We are getting a wolf in this movie. What we don't realize is that most of I think this is a 103-minute film, is a slow burn. It's spent watching Christopher Abbott slowly turn into a wolf. This isn't an instant thing, this isn't like he gets bitten and he's suddenly a werewolf. It's slow and it's methodical and it ties into the overarching metaphor that Lee Winnell puts in here, which I think is generational trauma. And that's just something that we carry with us and we pass on to our young. And there has to be someone to break that generational trauma. And in that sense, I liked this film. If I think about it that way and I look at every scene through that lens, I liked this film. But the problem is, I didn't really like this film. I wanted more build up. It takes place really in one night. They arrive in Oregon. They are under attack and they have to figure out what they need to do to survive. And helping one another and coming together as a family is all well and good, but I needed more. There wasn't much backstory, and I feel like with The Invisible Man, Lee Winnell gave us so much and so much character development. And here it's really relying on the riz of Christopher Abbott and Julia Garner, who, don't get me wrong, have all the riz in the world. And that's what makes it a somewhat watchable film. But at the end of the day, the story doesn't go enough places. If you're here and you're like, okay, but is there blood? Are there guts? Are there, special effects? Yeah, there are those things. So if that's all you want out of a horror movie, like this has it. I don't know. It's got some really good actors doing a decent job of what this film requires them to do. Uh, and there is some special effects that are pretty cool. I mean, Lee Winnell also created Saw and Insidious. So you can expect those things out of a Lee Winnell movie. It's just newer with Lee Winnell, The Invisible Man Lee Winnell. That is what I want from him. And that is not what I got here. If this felt like a plug for The Invisible Man, I'm very sorry, but that's a really good movie. And I would almost recommend seeing that over Wolfman this weekend. It's streaming on Freevee, whatever Freevee is. To be fair, there's not much coming to theaters this month. I did see One of Them Days with Kiki Palmer and SZA, and I laughed my butt off. So maybe forego the horror, and it hurts me to say this as a huge horror fan. Forego the horror, go for comedy, and go see One of Them Days.